Okay, Boomer. Hi, this is Scott Ott, and this is Bill Whittle Now. And Bill, there is a new meme that is tearing up TikTok and Instagram and various other social media. I'm sure it's not on Facebook since the young people have left that. But essentially, not only is this hashtag OKBoomer meme taking off, but it's generating merchandise. Young people are actually selling hoodies and other kinds of garments to people because this little slogan, Okay, Boomer, a somewhat sardonic slap at people who talk down to what they would call millennials or snowflakes, has really gained traction. And Bill, it occurs to me that both you and I are in the age group that tends to fall into that boomer category. But the young people are making it clear it's not just old people who are who should hear this okay boomer message. It's anybody who basically talks in an old-fashioned way, doesn't fully appreciate technology, doesn't believe in climate change, doesn't believe in fairness, and frankly, Bill, and this does apply to our age group, has left this Generation Z as the first generation in American history to not have things better off than their parents because of what we have done to the economy, to the climate, to health insurance, and a variety of other things. Are you willing
to the economy and health insurance anyway?
Are you willing to accept this critique of your generation, Bill?
Well, OK Boomer is not just directed at baby boomers, which I'm a member of. It's, as you say, it's specifically aimed at people who lecture millennials, mostly baby boomers. So that T-shirt is aimed directly at me. I am the target of that T-shirt. I'm not the only one, but I am the dead center target of that T-shirt, and I think it's hilarious. I think it's absolutely hilarious. I get it completely. I think it's an absolutely clever, and I think it's dismissive in the kind of way that it needs to be. I think it is two words that basically sum up an entire attitude of a generation, and I think it's bloody brilliant.
You know, that's exactly the reaction that they're not expecting you to have, because one of the reasons why this hashtag on TikTok has multiplied now some 18 million times, not to mention other social media platforms, is not only because it puts the finger on something that the Generation Z folks are concerned about or upset about, but that a lot of boomers seem to really get ticked off about it.
Do they?
And this only fuels the propagation of the meme. How is it, Bill, that you, one of the prime snowflake lecturers, has not taken offense at this?
It's accurate. It's based on truth. The ability to laugh at yourself when people treat you fairly, when they make a joke about you that's fair, that's not a joke about what they imagine you to be, then I think that the ability to laugh at yourself is a fundamental sign of basic mental health, to be honest with you. I think it's brilliant. I completely get it. And the second you explained it to me, I said, that's exactly how I would feel if I were them. Now, what I would do, and here I am giving away multi-million-dollar ideas for free, is I would have a T-shirt that said, "Okay, Boomer," and then below that it would say, "So we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 sharp then?" ? And there's your revenge.
Well, the hoodie actually does have a little follow-up to the OK Boomer slogan. At the bottom, it says, one of the most popular hoodies says OK Boomer about 8 times. And at the bottom in small type, it says, "Have a terrible day." So,
You know what? I think our hashtag should be, see this. I find this to be great, Scott, because I think it's healthy. I really do. I think it's it's socially healthy for people to use this kind of humor to express what's really going on rather than yelling and screaming at each other. And oh gosh, what was I going to say?
Bill, I have to say though, a lot of people, frankly, in our own comment sections on YouTube, anyway, have engaged in this kind of diatribe against so-called millennials or snowflakes or young people in general. Do you think that we are really, those folks who are doing that are just absolutely wasting their breath, or are they doing something worse, which is actually building a wall that prevents communication with people that they so want to influence?
Well, our society has become so politicized over everything, that people have basically dug their trenches and built their bunkers and fortifications, and there's no moving them out of it. And this is one of the great catastrophes that the politicization of everything has done to this country. But the way you fight that kind of thing is you fight it by, if you're going to fight a joke about you, the way you fight back is to have a better joke. And I mentioned the one before. Now I think I would start a hashtag that said, you know what, Millennial, I'll just do it myself. There you go.
So just play with it and have fun with it. But it's not. It is sarcastic and it is meant to be humorous, but it also is meant to be serious because these folks who are at least trying to advance this meme look at the boomer generation, and now I'm talking about a demographic age cluster, a cohort.
Right.
They look at that generation and say, "Look, you screwed up the planet. You got us into a bunch of wars. You created all this political division. You destroyed the economy. You made it so that a young person like me in my early 20s, for example." Can't get health insurance because it's prohibitively expensive. You've made the cost of housing now to be 50% of the average income of people like me. I'm ticked off at you. It's not just a joke, but it's some outrage.
Here's another hashtag, okay, Millennial, I'm going to speak very slowly.
See, you're doing it. You're doing it.
Yeah, well, they deserve it. They deserve it. If that's the position that they're taking, then they deserve it. If they're saying that we've ruined the planet, all they have to do is look at the planet when we started to actually grow up and be adults. You look at the condition of the Great Lakes or the condition of the skies in Los Angeles, the condition of anything in terms of anywhere around this country when we started to deal with the environmental issues, then you will realize that the country is far cleaner, far more trees, far cleaner than it was when we grew up, and we're the ones who did it, not
but Phil,
them.
You've also,
we did it. And the same thing. Hold on. The same thing goes to the same thing goes for the economy. The same thing goes for every single thing that you listed. They have been born into the most affluent, free society in the history of the world, and all they do is cry about how unfair it is and what a rotten thing it was and what we did to them. This is the entire problem with this generation, is they are so far away from any kind of reality that gratitude never enters their minds, because why would it enter their minds? They've been told their whole lives that all we did was screw things up. If they had walked the streets of Los Angeles in 1966, they would have been amazed by several things. One would have been how dirty the air is, and two, they would have been amazed at the racism, which they didn't conquer, and we did. We are the people who changed our behaviors, not them. They were born into a post-racism world. Obviously, racism still exists among certain individuals, but the kind of racism that we're talking about wasn't that way. We're the people who had to change our behaviors because of what we saw on All in the Family, and we are the people who had to deal with women because of what we saw in Maude. We're the ones who had to change our minds. Our parents felt differently. Our kids are now in this post-racial kind of a world. And now they're looking around, thumping their chests like, we defeated racism. You didn't defeat racism. You never had to deal with it. You never had to deal with you constantly say, oh, you millennials, you boomers are just you were so racist. It's like, probably true when we started, but we're not racist at the end. And somebody had to make that change. And that somebody was us, not you. This was given to you on a silver platter, just like a clean environment, just like the richest economy in the world, just like the billions of people who were in poverty and dying at the age of 13. Now they're all living much, much better all around the planet, all done by us. And I'm frankly getting a little tired of being criticized by a bunch of whiny crybabies who've been given every single thing in the world, including a clean planet, a booming economy, and the ability to go to college to study medieval Renaissance poetry, taking it out on us like it's somehow our fault that they don't know how to add or write or show up at work on time.
I feel like there should be an OK Boomer sweatshirt sales counter at the bottom of the screen during that last rant, where it's ticking up, showing how many sweaters are being sold.
I hope so. I'd be more than willing to see an OK Boomer sweatshirt on the street for every person who listened to that 1 2-minute rant of mine. If they just listen to it, I'd say great. I'll give it to you for free. Fantastic, it's yours. But OK Boomer is. I get the attitude, and I started out being real friendly about this until I started hearing about how we've ruined everything. And then all of a sudden, now I start getting a little more serious. So if you don't like the OK Boomer thing, if you don't like being lectured by people, then maybe you should try to find a way to do the fundamental things that are required by human beings. And when the people who have been taking care of you and letting you get away with all of this stuff finally die to your enormous gratification, you're going to find that you're responsible for all of these things and you're not going to know what to do. And you're not. Believe it or not, the people who are talking about snowflakes and people who are criticizing you for being snowflakes and not knowing how to spell are doing so because they're outraged at the fact that you have been cheated of an entire education, not just out of an education, you've been cheated out of the entire idea of what being an individual person is all about by a group of left-wingers who people like us have been fighting the whole time. It's true those left-wingers were boomers, so it ought to be okay, liberal boomer. That's fine. I got no problem with that. But I don't have any problem with okay boomer either. Look, we're going to go before they do, and when we're gone, they're going to be on their own. And the reason that so many of us get so irate about this is because what we see is an entire generation of 35-year-old children who don't know how to do anything. They can't spell, they can't read, they can't show up on time, they can't do their laundry, they don't know how to buy groceries, they can't drive. All of it is all of this anger towards this millennial generation is really directed to, and this is something that I'm certainly guilty of and I'm trying to change. This anger should be directed to the people that did that to this generation and not to the generation itself. They didn't ask for any of this stuff, but that's what they got. But to say that we gave them a world filled with racism and pollution, and when the Cayuga River caught fire in the 70s, it's just plain, it's wrong. It's not true. It's a lie. And so they're predicating their entire political position on something that is not true. And whether or not they want to listen to us telling them it's not true is not going to matter. When we're gone, they're going to find out that it's not true. They're going to find out it's not true because they're going to have to deal with it themselves.
Well, people of all ages and varying perspectives have made this program possible. We're grateful to those members at BillWhittle.com for funding this enterprise. They are also now enjoying, as you can enjoy, the new audio version, not only of Bill Whittle Now, but also of Right Angle, which you can find if you go to BillWhittle.com and click the podcasts link, which will allow you to listen on your iPhone or your Android device or practically anything else that will play a podcast. We welcome you to try that out there. We've had thousands of new people who are getting to hear this for the first time because of that. We also want to thank our friends over at the Patriot Post, America's News Digest. These are folks who have teamed up with us in a co-promotional effort because we believe in what they're doing, they believe in what we're doing, and we want more people to know about both. You'll find a link to the Patriot Post in the description below. For Bill Whittle, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks for watching.